Okay, so welcome to Swiflearn online classes. As you already know, that Swiflearn is the India's most sincere learning destination for classes 1 to 10. Over here, all the classes are 100% live and interactive classes. If you have any sort of doubt, you can ask to the teacher in the classes only, and the teacher will explain everything in the classes, right? Now, coming to the second thing, we give personalized attention to each and every student of our classes, because maximum 6 students are there in each of our batches, not more than that. So the batches can be of 1:1 batch or 2:1 batch, or maximum 6 students will be there. This will help the student also to ask any sort of doubt regarding the topic to the teacher without any hesitation, and the teacher will also explain all the concept to the student very easily, right? So coming to the third thing, that is, we have a very good dedicated academic mentor team who continuously track how you are doing, right? How you are progressing, where you are lagging. All the parameters will be observed, and accordingly you will get the feedback. This feedback will definitely help you to understand and improve yourself. Hi Pragya, good afternoon. How are you? Okay. Coming to the fourth and the most important thing, that is, we cover the syllabus as per your school examination schedule. So, if you have any topic which is coming in your school exam, so we will do those topics first, and then we will move on to the rest of the topics. So, this type of custom request generally we maintain, right? Coming to the main or the key features of Swiflearn, why this Swiflearn is totally different from any other platform, let us see. First of all, we maintain a detailed progress report of each and every student. So here in the progress report, everything will be there. All the parameters like your understanding capacity, your how you are performing in the homework, in the classwork, whether you are understanding all the concepts properly or not. So everything will be there. Hi Ankrit, good afternoon, beta. Yes, Pragya, this is the last session of respiration. Yes, chalo. So everything will be there in the progress report, and उसके बाद आपके स्कूल में भी जैसे PTM होता है, इधर भी PTM होता है, and in the PTM your parents will be able to directly interact with us. If they have anything to share with us, always they are welcome, and we also will try our best to solve all the problems, right? Coming to the second thing, that is the SAT, which is the Swiflearn Academic Test Series, which happen in every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We generally here you will be able to perform, and your rank and name will be given on the leaderboard. Accordingly, you will get the scholarships also. Now, coming to the third and the fourth most important thing is, after completing the revision of any chapter from your textbook, or the revision notes which will be supplied by Swiflearn, what you have to do is you have to practice writing the question answers. So both the objective and subjective type of questions are there in our website, and unlimited practice tests are there, the assessment, mock tests, the different papers of the different schools. So everything will be there. So what you have to do is you have to practice the question answer. Mostly the subjective test is very, very important, because most of the cases you lose the marks in the subjective answers, right? So how to write the answer, you have to write the answer and upload it. So we will check your answer, and we will give you the tips and tricks how to write the answer, where to include any diagram or any chemical equation or any graph. So we will give you all these tips, so that you will never lose any marks in the board exam as well as the school exam, right? So to experience all these things, what you have to do is you have to book the trial class. So all the trial classes are free of cost. Book it anytime, whenever you are free, and experience our class, the live and interactive class, and then enroll your name in our regular batches. ठीक है ना? Yes. Chalo, so let's start with today's topic. You already know that today we are going to discuss about the respiration only. This is the third session of respiration. We have already studied a lot about respiration in the previous 2 sessions. So before starting, let me remind you, whoever has not subscribed our channel, please subscribe it and press the bell icon, so that you will never miss any of the update of the upcoming sessions. And do not forget to like, comment and share also. ठीक है? चलो. So let's start with today's session. We are going to discuss about the respiration, and you already have an idea what is the respiration, how it happens, and what are the different steps of respiration, the different types of respiration. These are the different things which we have already studied in the previous sessions. So in today's session, we are going to discuss about the respiratory cycle, the lung capacities, what are the different mm, words which are related to the lung capacities, what are they, what are the definition of those. These are very very important for your school exam. Then inspiration and expiration, the total mechanism of the inspiration and expiration, the inspiration air versus the expiration expired air, and how we can control the breathe or how the breathing movement is controlled. And finally we will go to the disorders which can happen due to not getting proper amount of oxygen or in the different types of health conditions. So what are these disorders related to breathing? We will discuss about this. ठीक है? Yes, Pragya, as you have already requested me in the previous two sessions, I remember you requested me about the economic importance, है ना, Pragya? So we are going to discuss about economic importance of bacteria and fungus from the next session. Happy? Yes? Chalo. So let's complete the respiration today now. Okay, great. So let's revise with some of the questions which we have already studied about them in the previous sessions. Okay, so first of all, quickly give me the answer. Which part of the human body is more developed in case of male than the female? And this also helps to produce sound, or like when we talk, the sound is produced from that organ. Quickly give me the answer. As you already know, whoever will give me most of the answers correctly, let me see who is the student of the session. I'll write your name on the screen at the end of the session. Okay, great. Yes, larynx, or we can call it as the voice box. This is the main organ which is well developed and starts increasing in their size and volume during the adolescence in case of the male, and that is why the male voice is a little bit deeper than that of the female voice, right? Now, quickly give me the second answer. Which tissue forms the inner lining of the respiratory tract? And they also protect our respiratory tract from a lot of different type of things, any sort of external injury and all. What type of tissue? Just give me the preliminary idea of the tissue, or just give me the name, what type of tissue is present. Okay, let me give you some of the options. So it can be the nervous tissue or muscular tissue or connective tissue or epithelial tissue. Which one of them? Very good, Pragya. Yes, the epithelial tissue. Okay, great. So I hope that you have already understood whatever we discussed in the previous two sessions, and you also remember it, right? It's really great. So let's start with today's session. We will discuss a lot about the inspiration and expiration, the breathing mechanism and all. So just think about the different situations, like when you are running a grinder. So when you want something to be done very much quicker, okay, like very much in the fast mode, so what do when the quantity of the item is to be grinded is very less? So we put it in the slow mode, and if we want to do it fast, so we put it in the fast mode. Agree with me? Yes. Similar thing happens when we walk. So when we are running, or when we are generally like late for our school, so we have to run to the school, right? So what happened at that time, the breathing pattern totally changes. And when we are walking like very relaxed, in a very relaxed mode, so the breathing rate is medium. And if we are sitting and just relaxing on the bed, then our breathing rate is very very low, right? So why do you think why it is happening? Yes, similar type of thing we can see in the dog also, like the dog's panting breath is very very high and very very quicker than that of the breath we release when we are sleeping. Yes. Okay, no issue, Pragya. Quickly tell me, so why is there a difference between this breathing rates and the breathing patterns? Sometimes it is very low, sometimes it is very high. So why is it so? What is the main thing which happens when we breathe fast or when we breathe slow? So what is the main significance of breathing? Okay. Acha, in this case, anaerobic respiration takes place, you were telling. That is okay, but I'm just concerned about the breathing rate. So why the breathing rate is so high? So that all the organs of our body will get the absolute like adequate amount of oxygen. That is our main purpose, right? So that we can breathe in, and while breathing in the air, more the air will get inside our body. The air which we breathe in will have the maximum amount of oxygen, right? And that oxygen will get inside our body. From the lung it will go to the heart, and from the heart it will be distributed to all the different organs of the body. So if the rate of breathing is high, then our all the organ will get the proper amount of oxygen at the same time. Agree or not? So what happen, you can see that what are the two steps of breathing. First one is inhalation, that is nothing but just taking in the air which is rich in oxygen, and the second step is exhalation. So what do you mean by exhalation? We can call this exhalation as the expiration also. So let me write down the another name of inhalation and exhalation. So inhalation is also known as inspiration, noted down, and exhalation is also known as expiration. Yes, we will cover the whole syllabus of biology. Okay. So this inspiration and expiration alternatively takes place, and these are the two main steps of the breathing process. That is nothing but taking in of the air is known as the inspiration or inhalation, and giving out of the air which is rich in carbon dioxide is known as the expiration or exhalation. Up to this much clear hai? Now we will see that a lot of different types of changes takes place in the chest cavity while we inspire and while we expire. Okay. From which book I teach is basically I teach the concepts, but the book which is followed in case of the ICSE board in Swiflearn, it is your concise biology, okay, of the Selena publication. Got it, Pragya? Okay, I hope that your school also follow the same book, right? Like most of the school of ICSE board follow the same book. Okay, so in case of inhalation, we will see. Oh, great! So we follow the concise biology only. Okay, so in case of inhalation, we will see the volume of the lungs will increase. Okay, the volume of the lung will increase. The lungs are protected with the rib cage, we know. So the rib cage will come outward, and as we know that there is the membrane structure which is present just beneath the lung. This is the diaphragm. So the diaphragm will go downward. Okay, it will go downward. So these are the different changes which takes place when we inhale the air. Now just the opposite will take place in case of exhalation or exhaling the air. That is, the diaphragm will go upward, the volume of the lung will decrease, and the rib cages will again go back to its original position. It will go inside. Okay, and there are the muscles which I'm trying to draw over here. There are the muscles which are present in between the rib cages. We generally call it as the intercostal muscle. So we will see what changes takes place in the intercostal muscle also while we are breathing in and breathing out. Up to this much clear hai? Yes. Okay, so let's start with the different changes of the breathing. So before going to the mechanism, let me tell you some of the facts. Like in case of the adult human being, the breathing rate is 12 to 15 or like 15 to 18 times per minute. This is nothing but when we breathe. So if you just see the clock, then you will see that in 1 minute how many times we are breathing. So that is nothing but your breathing rate. Okay, so in case of normal human being, it will be 15 to 18 times. But in case of babies, they breathe about 40 times per minute. Do you know why? Okay, great, Pragya. Thank you very much. And also tell your friends to subscribe our channel. Okay. And also press the bell icon so that they can also stay in the live session. They can also learn with us. Yes. Okay. So, do you have any idea why the breathing rate is higher in case of the babies? Quickly give me the answer if you know that. Because as you already know that the gaseous exchange basically takes place within the lungs. So the lungs of the babies are also very small, and that surface area where the gaseous exchange takes place within the lungs of the babies are also very small. But they need the oxygen supply to all the parts of their body, right? So that is why they breathe faster than us, so that more and more oxygen can be get inside the capillaries, and finally it will be going to all the different parts of their body. Up to this much clear hai? Yes. So the average breathing rate per minute is referred to the breathing rate, or we can also call it as the respiratory rate. And when we do any sort of physical activities, yoga, physical exercises, swimming, strenuous activities, then our breathing rate can also increase. It can be 40 to 45 breath per minute. So sometimes we feel like out of breath, right? And the primary function of the respiratory system is to give the oxygen to all the different parts of the body through the oxygenated blood, and to carry back the blood which consists of the carbon dioxide, so that the carbon dioxide, which is the harmful chemical, should be removed from our body. This is the only main significance of this respiration. Clear up to this much? Yes. Chalo. So let's now go to the mechanism of the breathing. So with the very first mechanism, the very first thing which happens is the difference in the air pressure. So the air which we breathe in and out of the lungs varies in its pressure. So when there is a fall of the pressure in case in the alveoli, we already studied what is the alveoli. This is nothing but the air sac. So they fall and the air enters inside the lung. When the pressure falls, so definitely the inspiration will take place, and it will be filled up by the air. Now as the pressure of the alveoli exit the atmospheric pressure, it becomes higher than that of the atmospheric pressure. What will happen? Like immediately the air will go out of the lungs, and that is nothing but our expiration. So the flow rate of the air is in portion is proportional to the magnitude of the pressure difference. So when the magnitude will be, like, it totally depends upon the total pressure difference and how much amount of air is getting inside and going outside. Fine. Now when you observe your pet dog, you see that there is something which is coming up and down continuously in the chest cavity. Have you ever noticed it? Yes, exactly. So that, yeah, so they also need a huge amount of energy, na Pragya. So that is why animal breathe fast, so that their body organs should also get the proper amount of oxygen. Up to this much clear hai? Yes. Okay. Now quickly tell me, what is the process called when there is the up and down of some pumping organ takes place? That is the breathing. And do you think this breathing is continuous, and this movement also inside our body is continuous? Yes or no? Let's see how this breathing takes place, and then we will be able to see whether it is continuous or not. So this mechanism basically involves the two processes, that is the inspiration and expiration. So when we inspire or when we inhale the air, we can see that the volume of the lung will increase, the diaphragm will go downward, and the rib cage, which is basically covering or protecting the two lungs, it will go outward, right? Hi Dev, good afternoon beta. And just the opposite will take place in case of the exhalation, that is the diaphragm will go upward, the volume of the lung will go down or it will decrease, and finally the rib cages will also go back to its original position. So these are the different changes which continuously take place during the inspiration and expiration. So as I have already mentioned that there is one type of muscle which is present on the ribs. In between the two ribs there are the muscles. These are known as the intercostal muscle. So this external intercostal muscle will contract when we will inhale the air. When we will inhale the air, the contraction of this muscle will take place, rib cages will come outward, diaphragm will go downward, and what will happen? The volume of the air within the lungs will increase. Up to this much clear hai? Yes, so the expansion of this chest cavity produce a partial vacuum which help to suck the air inside the lung so that it will be totally filled up with air. And as we already know that the gaseous exchange mainly takes place through the alveoli and the blood capillaries, so the alveoli will get the maximum amount of air, so that proper amount of oxygen and carbon dioxide exchange will take place within the lung, right? So these are the different changes. The process of this taking in the air is inspiration. This is the active process definitely. And while inspiring, the air pressure will decrease and then only the inspiration will take place. Contraction of the external intercostal muscle take place so that the volume of the thoracic cavity will increase, the volume of the lungs will also increase, diaphragm will go downward, and finally the air pressure inside the lung will decrease. Okay, so the pressure will now equalize with the atmospheric pressure, and the atmospheric air will rush inside the lungs. So these are the main steps of the inspiration. So always remember the different changes. The change which takes place in diaphragm, change takes place in the volume of the lung, change takes place in the intercostal muscle, and the change takes place in case of the rib cages, whether they are going out or inside. So these are the four changes which takes place during the inspiration. Just the opposite four things will happen in case of the expiration. When we will exhale the air, just the opposite thing will happen. What will happen? Over here, in case of the expiration, we are basically giving out the carbon dioxide rich air, right? We are expelling the carbon dioxide rich air in the atmosphere. So here the intercostal muscle, the external intercostal muscle will be totally relaxed. The diaphragm will again come back to its original position. It will go upward. Then the chest cavity will decrease, or the volume of the lungs will decrease, and it will create the increase of pressure within the lungs so that the air will be pushed out through the nose. We will be able to exhale properly through the nose. Okay, so let us see what are the steps it include. First of all, this process of exhalation of carbon dioxide rich air. Always remember one thing, that when we are inspiring or we are inhaling, and when we are exhaling, we are not just inhaling the oxygen and giving out the carbon dioxide. It is not possible. तो ऐसे तो नहीं है कि air में बहुत सारे gases है. We know already कि air is a mixture of gas, right? So we cannot just choose the oxygen molecule and inhale that, right? So when we are inhaling, all the gases whatever is present are inside the air, like 78% of it is nitrogen, 21% oxygen, 0.03 is carbon dioxide, and all the different inert gases are there. So everything is going inside, but to be very specific, in our lungs, the oxygen is only taken in, and when the carbon dioxide is produced due to the respiration in the cell, that carbon dioxide is given out. So that is why we always say that carbon dioxide is coming out, oxygen is given in, and it is not true. The statement is basically not true, because we are taking in air which is rich in oxygen and giving out air only which is rich in carbon dioxide. But other than carbon dioxide, the water vapor, heat, and many other things are also going out of our body. Up to this much clear hai? Yes. Is it clear to all of you? Chalo. So let's see what happened in case of the expiration. So obviously when we will expire, just we will in exhale, so the chest cavity will get inside, the rib cages will go downward, the diaphragm will come upward, intercostal muscle जो external है that will relax, and the intercostal muscle जो internal है that will contract, and finally what will happen, the diaphragm will be relaxed, lungs will be compressed, and the pressure will increase so that the air will forcefully go out of our body. So these are the basic changes which takes place during the inspiration and expiration. Clear hai? Now we started about the different parts of the respiratory cycle, right? Now we will discuss about the internal respiration, how the gaseous exchange takes place in the tissues. Okay, so how the oxygen is taken in the tissues and carbon dioxide is going out of the tissue. So first of all, we will see that this type of respiration we already got it in the previous session. It is known as the internal respiration. In case of this type of internal respiration, what happened? The gaseous exchange takes place in the tissue. So we already know that our blood capillaries are having the blood cells. The red blood cells are having the hemoglobin on them, right? The hemoglobin is the red colored pigment. So this hemoglobin has a very good capacity of binding with the oxygen. So that is why we can call this hemoglobin as the oxygen carrier, right? So the oxygen will be carried with the hemoglobin, and finally when it will come in contact with the tissues, the oxygen will be dissociated over there in the tissues, it will be released, and finally that from the tissue the carbon dioxide will diffuse and come inside the blood capillaries. So this is how the gaseous exchange takes place in the blood capillaries and the tissue, and this type of respiration is known as the internal respiration. So this is how the oxygen is transported to all the different parts of the tissue. Just see, this is the blood capillary which is carrying the hemoglobin containing oxygen. So it will come in contact with the tissues, and when it will come in contact with the tissue, oxygen is less in the tissue. So the oxygen, more oxygen is there in the blood cells. So as we have already studied that in case of diffusion, what happened? The molecules will flow from the higher concentration to the lower concentration. So from the higher concentration, that is in case of the blood vessels, the oxygen will get inside the tissue, and finally within the tissue you already know that after like the breakdown of the oxidative breakdown of the food particles, the carbon dioxide should be removed from the tissue. It will go inside the blood vessels and it will be removed from the tissue. ठीक है? Yes, so this is how the oxygen is carried and it will be given inside the tissue. So basically when the oxygen will come in contact with the low oxygen limit, low pH and the higher temperature, these are the three conditions which help the oxygen to be dissociated, and this dissociation or the release of the oxygen will help them to go inside the tissue. Okay, up to this much clear hai? Now let us see how carbon dioxide now is released from this tissue to the lungs. So definitely there are the different blood capillaries which are also there in between the lungs and the tissue. So from the tissue, inside the tissue, the cellular respiration is taking place. So in case of the cellular respiration, the food will be broken down with the help of oxygen to produce the carbon dioxide and water. Now carbon dioxide from there will be released inside the blood vessels in the form of carbonic acid. Either they will go or they can again bind with the hemoglobin to form the carbaminohemoglobin. So after formation of this carbaminohemoglobin, it will go towards the heart. From the heart through the pulmonary artery, it will go to the lungs, and inside the lungs the gaseous exchange will again take place. That is what we call it as the external respiration. Okay, up to this much clear hai? हाँ, चलो, up to this much any question? Now let's move on to the next part of this chapter. We will discuss a lot about the different types of definitions now, which are related to the respiratory rate, the breathing rate, and the total process of our respiration. Okay, so each of the words, which the terms, biological terms, which we are going to discuss now, are very, very important, which you have to memorize. Okay, you have to memorize the definition very easy, like very uh, like you have to mug up, I can say. You have to remember this, you have to understand the concept and then try to memorize them. Okay, so as you have already seen that when you blow a balloon, so what happens, you exhale the air, right? But after exhaling the air, um, so it will not help the balloon to be totally blown up fully. So how much air do your lung hold so that you will be able to exhale the air, more air, so that the air will get inside the balloon? So even when we perform the any sort of breathing exercise, there is a forced inhalation, forced exhalation we used to practice, right? Yes, this means that we need to inhale more and more air within our body. So how much capacity of air does a lung can have? Any idea? Yes. Or we can say, in case of just normal breathing, how much air is getting inside the lungs for each of the breathing? Yes. Okay, let's see, huh? So this normal, while normal breathing, the air which is going inside our lung and going out, so this type of exchange of the volume, that volume of air which is exchanged during normal breathing, is known as the tidal volume. So this tidal volume is 500 milliliter of air, which is utilized mainly during the normal inspiration and expiration. Okay, up to this much clear? This is mainly in case of the healthy person. Now let's move on to inspiratory reserve volume and expiratory reserve volume. So inspiratory reserve volume is nothing but the extra amount of air which we can inhale after a normal inhalation. Okay, the extra amount of air when we are taking a deep breath, we can inhale forcibly inside our lungs. So this is nothing but 2500 milliliter to 3000 milliliter of air which can be inhaled forcibly. Similarly, the same amount of extra amount of air which we can exhale, additional to that of the normal tidal volume, that is nothing but 1200 milliliter, which can be forcibly we can exhale from our body. Okay, so with the help of a graph, let me show you. This is the tidal volume, in between which you can see this tidal volume should be always there, because this is just the normal air continuously which we are breathing in and breathing out. Okay, now the maximum amount of volume which can get inside our lungs when we are inhaling forcibly, this is the inspiratory reserve volume, approximately 3000 milliliter will be there. And this is the expiratory reserve volume, which is like when we forcibly respire out or forcibly breathe out, this is the expiratory reserve volume, 1100 milliliter approximately. Other than this, there is a certain volume of air which is always present within the lungs, which cannot be removed or which cannot be like breathed out. So that is nothing but known as the residual volume, and it is approximately 1100 to 1200 milliliter. Okay, so this is the total volume of air which is residing inside our lungs after the reserve volume. This is very, very important, the residual volume. So all these definitions are very important for you. Next is the inspiratory capacity, the vital capacity, and the functional residual capacity. We will study all these things, but always remember the whole thing. The total lung capacity, the TLC, or the total lung capacity, is very, very important. That can hold at maximum 6000 milliliter of air. Okay, so quickly let us go with the different terms. So you can see over here the total lung capacity 6000 milliliter is its total capacity of the lung. Okay, so it will include all the different capacities. Okay, the tidal volume, ERV, IRV, residual volume, everything. Okay, so this is the maximum volume or the total lung capacity, that is 6000 milliliter. Apart from that, vital capacity is the total volume of air that can be expired after the maximum inhalation. So maximum inhalation होने के बाद जो expire होता है, that is known as the volume of air जो expire होता है, that is the vital capacity. It is very important because with the help of this vital capacity we generally used to know that whether the human being is healthy or not, or respiratory system में कोई problem है या नहीं. Okay, so that is why the measurement of vital capacity is very important. A decrease in the vital capacity indicate कि the person is suffering from any sort of lung diseases, or like where the lung cannot expand totally or completely. Okay, so we will be able to understand कि the person is suffering from any sort of lung related disease. Clear hai? Now next is the inspiratory capacity. It is the total volume the air can be inspired, like 3600 milliliter air totally हम inspire कर सकते हैं, जो है our tidal volume plus the inspiratory reserve volume. Okay, and which part of the body is responsible for controlling the breathing? We have already studied in the nervous system, breathing and respiration. So breathing and respiration, as they are the involuntary actions, they are controlled by the respiratory center. So they basically present in the medulla oblongata, the last portion of the hind brain. Okay, so after this medulla oblongata, the spinal cord will start. Okay, so this is the main last part of the hind brain which control the total involuntary actions of our body, also the breathing and respiration. So over here the center is controlled by the amount of carbon dioxide which is present in the blood, and the breathing movement are involuntary, as I have already mentioned you, it is not on our control. Now, can anybody tell me why do you think this statement is wrong? We breathe in oxygen, breathe out carbon dioxide. Do you think this statement is wrong, or it's absolutely correct? And if it is wrong, then quickly tell me why this is wrong. Hi, Kiran. Quickly tell me why this is wrong, you think. So as I have already mentioned that when we are breathing in, we are totally breathing the whole air. We are not just selecting the oxygen molecules and breathing in. कि अच्छा आप ऑक्सीजन हो, आप आ जाओ. अच्छा ये कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड नहीं आना चाहिए. ऐसे तो नहीं करते ना हम. Yes, so we basically breathe in the whole air which is rich in oxygen. And when we are breathing out the whole air which is rich in carbon dioxide. Along with the carbon dioxide, water vapor and the other different things are also going out. And that is why this statement is wrong. We just only don't breathe the oxygen and breathe out the carbon dioxide. We breathe in the whole air containing more oxygen, and we breathe out the whole air containing more carbon dioxide. Okay, my name is already given on the screen. I'm Trishika ma'am. Okay, chalo. So let's now go for the last topic of this chapter, that is the breathing problem. So we will discuss about the different breathing problems. First of all, you sometimes see when you go upward towards the higher altitude, if you go for trekking and all, then sometimes you feel like sickness, dizziness, like unsteady vision, loss of hearing, muscular coordination का coordination अच्छे से नहीं होता, and breathing problem होता है, that is due to the lack of proper oxygen. ओके, सो दिस इज द ऑल्टीट्यूड रिलेटेड प्रॉब्लम। जो आप अगर नीचे आ जाओगे तो डेफिनेटली ये प्रॉब्लम नहीं रहेंगे। ऊपर ऑक्सीजन का लेवल कम है इसलिए ये होता है। सो लाइक सी लेवल से 4500 मीटर ऊपर जाने से ऐसा होता है। ओके, यू वांट टू जॉइन स्विफ्टलर्न, सो डेफिनेटली किरण यू कैन जस्ट डाउनलोड आवर ऐप of Swiflearn in your mobile phone, and from there you will get the contact number. You can take a trial class which is free of cost, and then you can enroll your name in the regular batches. Okay, chalo, coming to the second thing is the hypoxia. So hypoxia kya hai? It is basically due to the less supply of oxygen to our tissues. So when the tissue is not getting proper amount of oxygen, ye sometimes hota hai when there is no proper ventilation in the room, or if you are going in a hall or any room which is totally crowded area, so in that time sometimes we feel suffocating. So this is known as hypoxia in the biological term. And asphyxiation is another problem, that is when more carbon dioxide is accumulated within our blood, within our body, and oxygen supply reduce ho jata hai. It may be due to anybody drowning in the water, or any obstacle is present within the respiratory tract, so we will not be able to breathe properly, and that is why oxygen cannot go inside all the cells of the body, and carbon dioxide is accumulated, and this in extreme cases can lead to death also, if it is not, if the person is not properly returned to the normal condition at that time. Okay, so yeah, baby, beta, so your cost and everything you will get the idea from our team members. Okay, our team member will call you and definitely you will get to know all about Swiflearn. ठीक है ना बेटा? Chalo. So let's now discuss some of the question answer what we have already studied about respiration in the last 3 sessions. So first of all, in which form of carbon dioxide transported across the body? Which form of carbon dioxide? Yes, I have already mentioned 2 forms. Tell me quickly. Yes, it is in the form of carbaminohemoglobin basically, and sometimes in the form of carbonic acid also. My next question is you have to name the following structure. First, the transport oxygen to the body cells. Yes, quickly. Who transport the oxygen to the body cells? Secondly, something which prevents the food from entering the trachea. And third is to something which protect the lung from any mechanical injury. Quickly give me the answer in the chat box. Yes. The first one will be definitely RBCs, which transport the oxygen. Within the RBC, hemoglobin is present. Hemoglobin, oxyhemoglobin में converted होके वो oxygen को body cells तक लेके जाते हैं, right? Second is it prevents the food from entering trachea is epiglottis. I have already mentioned epiglottis is a flap which is present in between the windpipe and food pipe, which prevent the food to enter into the windpipe. It prevents it from getting it into the windpipe. And thirdly, it protects the lungs from mechanical injury is nothing but our rib cage. Yes. Now the next question is you have to arrange the steps in sequence properly. So there are the 3 sentences. So sentence number 1, 2 and 3. Quickly tell me with a proper sequence how you will be able to arrange all the sentences. Yes. Quickly give me the answer. So the first sentence is saying that the lungs expand and pressure decreases that the atmospheric pressure. And second is the lungs rushes inside the lungs. The air rushes inside the lungs outside, which is at high pressure. And the third one is the thoracic cavity expand, which decreases the internal pressure. Okay. So, how will you arrange these sentences? Your answer will be first, the thoracic cavity will expand, which will decrease the internal pressure. Then the lung will expand so that the atmospheric pressure, the pressure will decrease so that the air can rush inside the lungs. And this is nothing but you are basically inhaling the air, right? Yes. Okay, so that's all for today's session. Let me see what we have studied today. We have studied about the mechanism of the breathing, the whole detailed mechanism of the inhalation and the exhalation. Then we have studied about the different terms which are related to the respiration in lungs. And we finally discussed about the three breathing problems, right? Okay, so that's all for today's session. Thanks a lot for staying with us till the end of the session, and thank you very much. We will again meet in the next session. So let me remind you, whoever has not subscribed our channel, please subscribe it and press the bell icon so that you will never miss any update of the upcoming sessions. And also do not forget to like, comment, and share with your friends and family members. So thank you very much. We will again meet in the next session. So till then, bye bye. Take care. Stay safe and stay healthy. Bye bye.